There's a difference between being repulsed by fiction, which is like horror movies, that's not real, and being repulsed because there's real children doing sexual things. You can't fake that.
So Sneako tried to defend the movie, and one of his reasons was it propagates Islamic values. He says the movie is justified in that it's okay that this movie was released and it's okay to see it because of the overall message. But I think, Sneako, you're missing a really big point, Islamically speaking. So in light of the recent drama between Charlie and Sneako, they actually had a conversation, and it went a lot better than I thought it would, to be completely honest. Now, many people might be wondering, why am I even discussing this to begin with? It's actually because the topic of Islam came up a few times and there were a few opinions expressed. Now, I think it's very important that Muslim voices do be amplified and Muslims do speak on topics like this when Islam is mentioned, especially in such controversial light. Now, the reason I'm talking about this specifically is because the bulk of the beginning of the conversation was surrounded by the topic of the movie Cuties. Sneako was talking about why he defended the movie. Penguinz0 was discussing why he condemned it. And just to be clear, I completely condemn the movie, the director, anyone who participated in it who was of age, Netflix for releasing it, and anybody who saw it through to the end. I think it is an atrocious movie, and I will explain Islamically why it's not okay.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, so you mentioned you saw my video, so I didn't finish the movie. I physically couldn't. I found it just to be completely repulsive.
Haven't you seen a lot of other movies that have repulsed you before? I watch horror movies. I watch movies that are provocative.
There's a difference between being repulsed by fiction, which is like horror movies, that's not real, and being repulsed because there's real children doing sexual things. You can't fake that.
That movie was taken out of context quite a bit. People don't really see the moral of the movie, which was defending Islamic values and also pointing out the very real problem that young girls have going on social media and doing these dances.
So Sneako tried to defend the movie, and one of his reasons was it propagates Islamic values. Now, something I really do appreciate about Sneako is that he is very upfront and clear about his respect for Islam and his appreciation of Islamic values. And I think that is something that is tremendous. However, I do want to discuss his point in defending this movie. He says the movie is justified in that it's okay that this movie was released and it's okay to see it because of the overall message. But I think, Sneako, you're missing a really big point, Islamically speaking, and that is that the ends never justifies the mean, right? Imagine a person who robs a bank to go give in charity. That person would not be rewarded, maybe even be punished by God. And it's because, again, the end does not justify the means. And just think about it logically. You want to stop the young girls from going down this path, and you want to stop young women from hypersexualizing themselves. And the way you do that is by creating a movie in which girls hypersexualize themselves. It doesn't make any sense. It's like trying to stop murder by committing a murder and saying, oh, look how bad it is. I just shot this guy. Look how bad you all feel about it. Murder should stop. That's not going to help anything. If anything, it's better that you don't show it on screen. This is why Islam is so powerful, because we believe in prevention, not cure. You don't look to stop problems in society by showing the problem to the public. You prevent the problem from occurring, whether it's in reality or portrayed in a movie, because the more people see it, the more they will become desensitized to it. And the more desensitized to it that they are, the more it will happen in society because people don't have an issue with it. And that's why there was such a strong uproar when the movie was released, because it was something that was atrocious, especially from an Islamic perspective. So although you're right that in Islam, it's very important for the children to obey their parents so that they don't veer off the straight path, it's also just as important that we don't justify immorality under this guise of, well, the intention is good in the long run. They actually wanted to do this, this, and that. And this is the biggest point. You and I cannot decide what the outcome will be. This ties into another point you made later, which is about bullying.
You think bullying needs to come back. I have never canceled you. Can you recognize that? I have actually always spoke out against deplatforming, if you've ever noticed. I spoke out against it.
No, but you were also disingenuous. When I called out the Soyboy collage, you were like, these people just hurt my feelings. Most of those people actively advocated
for my
cancellation.
Nick is not green is the only person.
True. That's not true. Ethan Klein celebrated and clapped when I was banned and said, good, finally this misogynist is banned. What happens on the internet, I understand. It's good to have back and forth. Bullying is good because it makes you have to develop your character in a different way.
In the same way, we cannot justify bullying by saying people will become stronger. You cannot justify this movie by saying it will raise awareness, because you cannot actually ensure that it will have the result that you want. For example, you can bully somebody until they become depressed and a lesser version of themselves. And now instead of them growing, they've regressed. Sometimes people respond to bullying by regressing in the thing they're being bullied about. You know, you bully somebody for being fat, they might eat more and become more fat now. So it's not always a one size fits all. And that's why Islam is so powerful, again, because it's up to God. He says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah says He does not burden a soul beyond that which it can bear. So God can decide what kind of tribulations to put us through. But you and me as human beings, we can't decide what to put other human beings through because we don't know how they're going to come out on the other side, even if we have good intentions. And that's why a lot of these things we leave to God. We take the morality from God, we take our way of life from God, and we live it out. And we don't decide that which we don't have any certain knowledge of. But I do want to give Sneako credit. He is a person who, as I mentioned, really does promote a lot of Islamic values. Now, does he do it all the time in every way? No, but he's very early, I believe, in his journey. And I think he's doing a great job so far. He does fight against a lot of things that he claims to be degenerate and unlawful and immoral. And these are a lot of the things that Islam would also claim as unlawful and immoral. And Sneako is very clearly a person who has been interested in Islam for a while. It was one of the bigger religions that was on his radar even before this mass influx of influencers and big online personalities accepting Islam. People like Andrew Tate, sartorial shooter. I believe Sneako was really interested in Islam well before these big personalities accepted it. And I think that speaks volumes because it's beautiful how he noticed there's something with Islam. He noticed that there are real proper values with Islam. Maybe he sees that the Islamic conception of God and our obedience towards God is something that is fruitful and beneficial for human beings. Now, the reason I'm mentioning all of this is because it's very important for us as Muslims to consistently, politely, and frequently invite people to Islam, especially those who actively show interest. So this is a respectful invitation to Sneako. As one of the hosts of the Three Muslim podcast, we would enjoy another episode with you where we can dig a little bit deeper into your beliefs and speak a little bit more about Islam. I want people to see not only was Islam the pinnacle for, like, for example, the judicial system we have in the West, innocent till proven guilty, even the jury system, these things were taken from Islam. The money that the newborn baby gets when, they're given birth to from the government, the money they're given from the government, that was started from Omar, which was the companion of the Prophet, peace be upon him. All of these things, they come from Islam. And I want people to see that and recognize that so they can recognize that Islam is the truth and accept it. But that's not all I wanted to say in this video. I actually also wanted to extend an invitation to Charlie. Charlie, I think you are actually a very genuine and sincere dude. And I think that at the bare bones, on a fundamental level, you would really appreciate and agree with a lot of what we believe in Islam. And I don't want you to think that Islam is just another religion. Islam is not just a belief system. It's a full way of life that is based on our belief system. We believe Islam is wholesomely 100% preserved and originally sent by God. And as I mentioned before, I really do believe that you would appreciate a lot of what we believe in Islam. And I think it would be really interesting to explore what some of your beliefs are. So everybody who's watching, please send this to Sneako and Charlie and send it to your friends so they can send it over as well. Because again, I would love to interview the both of them and discuss Islam with them. I think they're both very genuine dudes, and I think deep down they are both willing and able to accept the truth. And with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.